Okay, so let's talk about energy. When I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about life force. It's actually, it's not electricity, but it's something, let's say, subtler. It's just right beneath electricity. And so in the yoga teachings, we call it prana. People that are working with Chinese medicine, I think they call it ki or chi, or depending on China or Korea or wherever. But what we're talking about is this life force, okay? And we experience this life force all the time. If you've ever found yourself, I'm sure you've been at some time in your life so tired, so drained. Maybe you're up really late, didn't have good food, maybe you were sick, but it's like you just don't have enough energy to do anything physical or especially mental, because the energy that's required to make a fist or to pick up something heavy is the same energy that's used for your mental activity, for concentration, and for meditation. The reason yogis say not to meditate right after eating a heavy meal is because you won't be successful. Try it. I have. I mean, sometimes I do. I'm committed to my meditation practice, and if something's going on and my schedule gets off, I'm not going to just not meditate because I had a meal before I go to bed. I still meditate. It's just not as fun. It's a lot harder. When you're digesting food, what we would say is that there's like a certain sum total of the energy at your disposal, and a bunch of it's going to your digestion. And so when you're digesting a bunch of food, or let's say you're going to go give a talk like this, you don't eat right beforehand because it kind of puts you into what we call a food coma, depending on what you ate. But it's harder to think clearly, and it's harder to understand. And it's just an interesting thing. And then we talked before about the spinal posture with energy going up and down, and with it brings your experience of consciousness, your level of awareness, or your level of happiness and joy and sense of contentment. It's all related. Okay, so what we need to understand about energy is that, first of all, we can create energy at will. And so I'm going to step back a little bit so you can see a little bit more of me in the camera. But if you were to bend your knees, you can't see my knees, but I have some. If you bend your knees a little bit and bring your hands forward like this, palms touching, and then exhale completely, and you do a short, long breath like this, sniffing through the nose, tense and vibrate your whole body. So the whole body's tensing and vibrating, and then exhale out the mouth. So it's a double breath, okay? So in through the nose, tense the whole body, vibrate, exhale. Bend the knees, relax, bring the palms back together, they're together. And then tense, vibrate, relax. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. You know what it looks like. But I want you to close your eyes. And let's sort of like meditate. Let's close our eyes. Take the direction of your gaze just slightly upward without straining or crossing the eyes. And feel all around you that there's this life force, like you're in a sea of nature. Not just oxygen, but trees and sky, beautiful sky color, nature if you can. It's best to do this kind of thing outdoors. Okay, with the eyes closed, just try to feel your connection with all of life, with the sky and the stars. Feel relaxed and feel receptive as if that energy can kind of come to you. But also know that it's animating your thoughts and your movements right now, even your breath. And then let's try to awaken that feeling of energy within us with this double breathing and the palms touching. So bringing the palms together, bending the knees a little bit, tense. Close your eyes, vibrate, and relax. Feel like you're magnetizing your whole body. Tense, vibrate, and smoothly relax and feel your body relax. Tense again. And again, now tense upward in a wave. So feet first, squeeze upward, like a tube of toothpaste, vibrate, and relax. That's really how to do it. Bring the hands to the sides, keep the eyes closed. Concentrate upward through the gaze, and feel your body maybe more awake and more alive and full of energy. And so there is another class where we'll do more with those kinds of exercises, but right now when you're starting and you're doing shorter 10-minute meditations, that might be enough just to get you started right now, something like that. Do it outside in fresh air. You feel like you're tensing, but there's more that could be said. And so what you're doing is you're using your concentration, you're using your willpower, and you're using your physical body all together with the breath to magnetically awaken your awareness of energy. So you're tensing your body, you're using your energy and dynamic will to create tension and even make the muscles in your body vibrate. That much tension. And then as you exhale, you consciously relax, and you relax smoothly, calmly, and you feel your body relax. And it's a good way to get rid of blocked tension, blocked energy, and just release it. But this is what I wanted to say. This is what I'm talking about now. Now I'm getting to the point. If you do it in a grim way, and you do it like, you're gonna. That's your magnetism. That's the energy that you attract. Okay, do it with a smile. Do it like a child playing out in nature and feel connected with all things that make life sweet and that inspire you. And so your consciousness is directly related to your energy. In fact, they're not separate at all. They're just different vibrations within a spectrum. Consciousness is more subtle. The energy that we're talking about, the life force, is a little bit more gross, more toward the material plane. And then finally there's the more gross, the physical plane, things that we can measure with, most of the things that we can measure with today's instruments and things like that. And so there's all these levels, and they're all intertwined. The way you work with your mind, the way you work with your thoughts and your feelings has a direct effect on the kind of energy that you're going to have. And you can change it at will. You can go south or you can go north at any time. It's up to what you're doing in your head and in your heart. And so another way to look at energy is that it's in our environment everywhere. When you go to places that are spiritually inspiring and uplifting, you feel like meditating, or you feel like smiling or singing or dancing. You feel like celebrating. When you're out in nature and all you can see is beautiful trees and mountains, it's not just a mental experience. You don't feel the same way when, there's a story of my dear respected teacher, Swami Kriyananda. He was living in an ashram in Los Angeles, Mount Washington, and he was in the back of a pickup truck, and all he could see is the sky. And they were driving, and he said he could feel when they came onto the property at the ashram because he could feel the vibration there. And some people may not understand that, but whatever, I'm putting it out there because I know what he's talking about. I feel it. I don't feel it everywhere I go. But I grew up in Los Angeles, and I've gone to Mexico many times. And there's a different energy when you cross the border. You can feel it. I mean, I can feel it when there's a difference between Mexico and the United States. There's a different, what we would say, magnetism, okay? There's a different feeling there. And same thing, Hawaii's different. But even in Los Angeles, where I grew up, there's a different feeling, there's a different energy, there's a different magnetism from one city or one town to another, from one house to another. There's a different feeling in a bar than there is in a meditation room. There's a different feeling in a police station or a hospital than there is in a church or a temple that's frequented by people that have devotion and sincerity and kindness. And so these things are real. There's a different energy in the music that you listen to and the books that you read and the things that you watch or expose yourself through media of any kind. There's a consciousness there. And so if you're depressed, you know how they say misery loves company? If you're depressed, there's a good chance you'll be listening to relatively depressing music written from the state of consciousness that you're kind of vibing with. Is that helping you? No. Does it feel comfortable? Yes. And that's why it's confusing. Okay, so if you're meditating because you want to have less stress, anxiety, and anxiety, then look at your energetic environment and see if there are things that you can kind of weed out that aren't taking you in the right direction, that they're manifestations of the wrong energy, negative, anxious, worried, too mental kind of energy. See how it feels to kind of take a break from those, go on a fast, and be with positive people, positive situations, and positive energy. Listen to positive music. And when you're trying to gauge what the music when you're trying to gauge the media that you're exposing yourself to, it's not just the words, it's the feeling and it's the inspiration behind it. It's the consciousness of the person performing it and the composer who wrote it and created it. Okay? So if it's a famous rock star that eventually killed themselves with a heroin overdose, unless you're aspiring to do that yourself, it might not be the thing to be listening to all the time. And so what happens when we develop our ability to concentrate and meditate and relax, we start to experience these realities personally and in an increasingly deep way. You become more sensitive. But even if you're not sensitive, or kind of maybe some of this sounds pretty new and woo-woo to you, it's okay. Just put it in the back of your head and say, okay, go to the next video. But remember I said this, if you keep meditating, because you may start to really experience it on your own. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm introducing the concept of mantra. Mantra is a Sanskrit word and it means words of power. And so in the next video, I'll be talking about that.